Good morning, beautiful souls. How are your hearts this morning? How is everyone? Thank you all for being here. What am I feeling from the collective? The collective energy. You know, I pick up a lot of things about the collective energy. And it's really interesting because the way my intuition works. First, it's just the energy, and you can feel it dense or light. And right now, it feels very unsettled and a bit chaotic. And when I ask for an image of it, it's kind of like everyone fell out of their out of the boat, out of the life raft, and they're all reaching for the lifesavers, right? As they're out in the water, whatever they can find. So everyone has a different survival strategy for how to feel good now. And most of us are stuck in the value return paradigm, right? Like me and mine. And it's understandable because that's the way our systems are set up in many ways, right? So, it's one of the reasons I practice Tonglen meditation, which is giving and receiving. What it means is, but giving and receiving meaning when I breathe in, I'm setting the intention to hold space, breathe in the suffering of others or the collective. And when I breathe out, I'm offering compassion, peace, love, lightening the collective energy. Right? And this is a practice from Tibetan Buddhism that before I knew its name, I found intuitively, and it was very effective. I learned I can do that for myself and others, and that people actually feel it, like you may be feeling it in this live. And that's part of the reason you might say I exude peace. It's a conscious intention. But the interesting thing is that we all can do that, right? How many times have you spent time with someone and felt more grounded, right? And that might be their underlying intention, or just the fact that we are literally connected, right? We are one. So there's something very interesting about just noticing the energy that we're all in and allowing it to move at its pace, right? It's an interesting kind of juxtaposition to witness and to feel, but not take full responsibility for it. Just as I can, do a bit of Tonglen, share some space here as it resonates. But also know that, like tending to a garden or building something, a complex system, there is a natural pace of change, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so trying to support the pace of the group, the collective. And one of the best things we can do is step out of judgment. Because the judgment creates too much division within us. Doesn't mean we have to agree with what everybody's doing. But if we can see beyond the behavior, right, and the decisions to the core intention, the wounding, the lessons that the soul is learning or trying to figure out, if we can literally put ourselves in someone else's shoes, or just simply practice deep listening if we can't get that far, which is something we've been focusing on this last week in the Beautiful Souls community. Deep listening, right? To approach the conversation with loving presence, being fully present, not distracted, to hold deep compassion, to witness without judgment, and to water seeds of understanding. generous when you hear. Because as soon as we hear something, often we'll go into judgment, we'll get distracted, right? We'll try to fix, try to solve. And we've lost touch with the gift of deep witnessing, allowing someone to be seen and heard. That's the only agenda. Just to be seen and heard, right? Just to be seen and heard. Wow, you see me, you appreciate my presence, right? That does so much. And so creating spaces for that, stepping into that energy. And the interesting thing, when you do that, you realize how much you miss. Because in those conversations, it's so easy for a story to get triggered that's related to that, or an emotional wounding to get triggered. And then we're completely absent, right? Or we're not present. We're in that triggering whatever happened to us. And that's what this unrest everybody in the life draft is about. We're all in this collective codependent pattern. I'm okay because you've done this, or this thing is happening outside of me. We don't know how to practice real emotional resilience. And it's something that we're all learning, myself included. But just recognizing that that's really what's happening beneath the surface of the behavior, right? Then we can step into that space of deep listening, witnessing the other, and then witnessing what comes up within us without being taken, without getting lost, right? Because as soon as we're lost in that, we're projecting. That's what's on our filter. That's the lens we're looking through. And observing the situation with judgment or hurt or bias or prejudice. And we miss so much. The whole time they're offering a gateway to liberation. Presence is the gateway to liberation. Presence is the gateway to liberation. Letting go of the old story. Letting it go. What has been is done. And what's interesting is when we do that underneath the surface, we're changing the way our neurons fire and wire together. By breaking those old patterns. That's something we all work on, right? So, tuning into the collective, there's that realization everybody's out of the boat and in the value return paradigm. So recognizing that one of the best things I can do is try to witness as much as I can and notice what comes up within me. My things get triggered. Be with those. Honor the natural pace of our collective shift, which will take generations, right? While also recognizing that whatever was triggered is over. If I can stay present and embody the peace that I am inherently made of. All of that keeps me free from this judgment of heavy rights and wrongs, and open, right, to my life without as much tension in the body, with the clarity to make wise decisions for myself and those I'm responsible for and to. Yeah, so patience. You're welcome. That's the interesting thing about the practice. You realize it's the perspective shift. Two of my favorite quotes. One from Thich Nhat Hanh. All suffering comes from not understanding. Not pain, but suffering. ways we make ourselves suffer when our minds are running rampant after the initial experience of whatever caused the harm. And then the other is by Antonio Porcia. We tear a piece out of life and use it for looking at itself. So we'll often use our pain, our judgment, our fear, when presence is one of the best, most liberating ways. Letting it all go, returning to first principle thinking. And that's something I've been really present to lately, is moving out of the value return, the me versus you, what will I get from this experience, right? To how can I regenerate, how can I live generously? Right? Something most of us don't think about. We're all in survival mode. Some of you have been asking about joining me for a retreat. There's only one that I'm really co-hosting, and that's the Creative Essence Retreat in Northern California on late September, last weekend of September. And registration for that will be opening up in the next week or two. What was the second quote? Antonio Porcia from a book called Voices. Oh man, getting a flashback of when I first read that book. It's just these little aphorisms, but the quote is, we tear pieces out of life and use it for looking at itself. Right, meaning we always have like this projective lens. And sometimes it's good to have. Like yesterday I saw a coyote, so I was thinking about the meaning of a coyote and how that might be of benefit to looking at my life. And it was. But oftentimes the pieces we're taking out of life are our past hurts and fears, creating projections. Type of music that I grew up listening to. Well, I'm a preacher's kid, so in our house we weren't allowed to listen to anything. So I listened to a lot of Christian music, anything outside of it. Secular music, worldly music. Just kind of funny to me now, because what other kind of music would it be? We're only in this one world. But when I was able to decide for myself, I found Napster. Sorry to all of the musicians that pirated your music. I was drawn, of course, to like Motown, soul music, R&B, all the pop music during that time. And also, really I was intrigued by like jazz and bossa nova, which got me into like the right hand thing, like stuff. And then like classical music. So I learned like classical music by ear. But I was intrigued with the finger style because I was only playing like with a pick, you know, at first. But I love that you can get so much more out of a chord with your fingers. So much more rhythm, so much more interesting to me. So there's a lot of that going on. But I listened to a bit of everything and studied music in college. I played drums first. I was terrible at it for like 6 months, and then I found the guitar. Don't really do much else. College, I studied jazz performance, so with a minor in jazz arranging. you able to hold Zen mode when deep, old, or new patterns, when I get triggered? With grace. It's a very interesting Zen mode. So sometimes I get triggered and it gets big and I need to create space for myself to just kind of feel it, because I'm not in a state to process it well with someone else. So I guess the short answer is I definitely do get triggered and not able to stay calm at times, or as calm as I would like. In those moments, I've just learned to say, hey, I'm triggered right now. Need some time to process. I definitely want to figure this out with you, but I just need some space at the moment. Is that okay? Can you hold space for me? And I guess I really want to point that out because I think a lot of us hold this idea of like perfection. And maybe because you only see me when I'm grounded, because that's the only time I come on, or most of the time, which isn't 100% true, but generally speaking. But I don't believe in that. I think it's about learning how to hold your humanity well. Learning how to hold your humanity well. We all get triggered. We'll probably continue to throughout our lives because there's so much underneath the surface. And even as you heal certain things, we all hold, I think, maybe a bit of a, what's the word? Maybe naive sense of what healing means. And I've come to embrace not like the literal definition of healing, right? Where, okay, I was cut, I had an accident, that's healed, I tended to that wound. I've tended to replace that with the truest definition of compassion, which is learning how to better hold space for your suffering, right? So when you're triggered or whenever these things come up, some of us have been through some really traumatic things that will be something we have to manage throughout our lives. And some things you may be able to process and never think about again. I'm not saying it's one or the other, but I think in general, the big things, it's probably going to be a lifelong journey. And what happens is, at least in my experience, is that whatever it was that has been the trigger usually becomes less of a trigger and not a trigger. And then in another inadvertent way, there's a trigger into that experience, right? Into that memory. There's layers. And so when that happens, it's not that I expect it not to happen anymore, but that I am now more confident and better equipped to handle it with more grace, compassion, and emotional maturity, to where when I want to blame or that whole thing happens, right? We put that filter on and use my trauma as a lens for looking at life. I recognize two things. Well, maybe three things. Oh, this is my trauma. I'm triggered. It's not necessarily that person's fault. And this doesn't define me, right? It's just an experience that I need to process and be with. So when I take that time to create space for myself, to be responsible for my own emotional experience, some people can process it more quickly. I have not been a very quick emotional processor in the moment. It takes me a minute. Because if you're like me, maybe a people pleaser pattern was present, or hyper responsibility for others. It doesn't come first nature to be as present to what's happening within you. We haven't developed that muscle very well. So I usually take some space for myself and sit with it and ask myself hard questions and try to be really transparent and honest. see how far I can get, right, with whatever my emotional capacity is at the moment. Sometimes my nervous system just needs to like breathe and ground and not think as much, but calm down. So yeah, I think if we let go of these perfectionistic ideals, that's another one. We resist underneath the surface. An unconscious desire to never experience turmoil is there, which is understandable because it's not fun all the time. But at the same time, it's kind of missing the point. The beauty of our human experience is the emotion. Right? It's to feel pleasure, it's to feel pain, it's to know our joy and sorrow well, because these are our teachers, right? And then in the midst of our suffering, to choose consciously compassion, to choose presence, to choose peace, real peace, right? To choose to love. That's what we're trying to figure out. Because it's easy when everything's going your way and you never feel anything, right? So it's easy to mistake that as the goal, to never be triggered or have anything, or to be able to experience any and everything in this life as like someone who doesn't feel, right? Or who has quote unquote transcended it all. Rather to experience it all with openness and realize that what makes those emotions so big is our resistance to them. Right? It's kind of this paradox, one of the paradoxes of life. Well, I guess you missed that I said I'm about to turn 40. Yeah. Haven't heard that bird in a while. I feel good about 40. I think at first, or earlier in the year, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Got a few raindrops getting a little pluvial out here. Oh, you'll be 40 next year. Okay. I'm with my peers. But I realized that I didn't have a real goal for 40. I had goals for younger years, like 25 or 30. But there were these unconscious kind of things creeping in. Some. And then I kind of sat with it. It's kind of where, if you saw one of my recent posts in the last week or two, it's one with some drone footage of some of my hikes from when I was traveling. And it's my way of kind of expressing and honoring the path of the seeker, not knowing, and also being self-sovereign and self-defining, owning my own agency. That I don't know what it's going to mean to be 40. I didn't know what it was going to mean to be in my 30s. And I get to experience that, right? That's what I'm getting to experience. But the truth, or the anchoring truth of my life is to stay in a state of surrender and connection to my most authentic longings coming from the intuitive guidance of my heart space. And so, yeah, you can change your goal daily. But I think that's it. My goal is consistent. It's just to honor my heart. I don't need more than that. And that's really interesting as I look at my human design, some of my astrology. It speaks to my gift is to anchor the light through my authentic self. And that's not just my gift for myself, my gift for others. And I get to experience that by practicing courage as I explore new inspirations and new intuitive urges, right? But you see, I think the guy who started Kentucky Fried Chicken did it in his 60s. You see so many people breaking off into new paths. But even the idea of who we are defined by what we are doing, our career, is so, it's silly to me. I think it's important to feel grounded and connected in your work. But something that's been really resonant for me lately is something that Carol Sanford speaks to in her book. She says, we all get stuck on this idea of the heroic journey, right? Like going out on your own, learning all the things and coming back to share. And if we're not in that paradigm, then it doesn't matter, it's not important. But I love that she reframed it. It's a non-heroic journey. What about the non-heroic perspective? Not any one person greater than the others, or a leader or follower, but rather we all are equally important, right? Which is more congruent with life. Yeah, Lisa, you were in that life. Recognizing, like, who are the heroes outside of humanity, right? We live in like this egocentric kind of view. It's everyone, this person's up here, we're all down here, right? No, we're all very important, right? You look at nature, who's the hero in nature? Is it the trees? Is it the wolves? Is it the whale? Is it the sun? Right? They all work together. And we're learning that, like, even if the bees disappeared, right, it'd be a big issue. Or when they brought the wolves back to Yellowstone, how that brought balance, right? And we can so easily compartmentalize and say wolves are bad, they're predators, or whatever. But everything has its place. We each have a unique essence. And so, realizing that each unique essence is what is needed to bring rich diversity and regeneration to life, to the landscape, to our communities, to our families. And that's what's been so interesting to me about, I'm still learning, and I don't have a food forest yet, but companion planting, the way nature does. Nature doesn't do monocrops, right? Just a field of corn. No, that's what we do. And then we spend all this time and energy trying to put nitrogen and sulfur and all the things back into the earth. But nature's like, yo, if we plant like 1,000 different species in this one plot, everything's here, right? We got plants that naturally cover, plants that naturally fix nitrogen. Got the fungi helping everything decay, right? Everything's there, but we need to honor and create space for it. But our egos, humanity, the hero's journey, quicker, faster, stronger, so I can have more than I need, practice greed, bring the planet out of balance, right? Because there's a natural pace and alignment of things. And so returning to this idea of the non-heroic journey, seeing all parts as equally valuable, and working together to support the unique essence of each one, right? That's why I'm asking you what's in your heart, because I don't know. I didn't know I had this in me to be here with you and share, right? I knew I was always going to share in a certain kind of way. But to see how things have unfolded has been one of the most fulfilling and enlightening things. As much as we think we know ourselves, we don't. And so to see what unfolds when I allow myself to experience things beyond what I can see or what I can conceptualize, and practice courageously honoring that intuitive pull. Thank you. Because for a long time, you guys see me here now, but before 2020, I was just a musician and a songwriter, which was cool. I enjoyed it. But I never shared like this publicly. I was healing my own trauma with dogma and smaller versions of myself. But once I started to actually honor everything that was coming up for me, slowly but surely, there was a lot of healing and little intuitive nudges along the way. One which was very funny to me at the time, which was just get into flow state and then go live on TikTok. No agenda, no plan, just get into flow state and go live on TikTok. And that was over 4 years ago now. And over time that turned into finding a community. It started out a handful of people in for 6 months, and I was just doing it because that's what I was feeling drawn from within to do. I wasn't necessarily trying to build a following. I wasn't trying to build a business. I was just sharing. And slowly it turned into what it is now, right? And I was getting it reflected back that it was supportive. And throughout that time, I got a scholarship to become a meditation teacher. Right? I get my first meditation on TikTok. So many stories I could tell from that unfolding. And I share all that to say, don't limit who you think you are to what you can conceptualize. Because we are so much more. Right? We are made of universe stuff, and the universe is always expanding, and so are we. We have the capacity to, right? If we allow that energy to move us. Right? If we practice with courage, surrendering to the nudges beyond our comfort zone. And that's where we get to our unique essence, right? That's where we hold space in a whole new way and bring something into the world that hasn't been seen before. And that's what's missing in the world right now. Too many of us trying to fit into 12 different archetypes. Midlife has said, no, there's not 12 archetypes, there's billions. And each one of you is your own unique archetype. Right? But you have to learn how to move past all of your emotional stuff that's unprocessed, so that you can move into courage and tune into the small voice within, right? Then allow your real fruit to be seen and witnessed. And I keep using this example because it was so interesting to me, talking about the grapes earlier. All the muscadine vines that I have growing here, the beautiful, beautiful vines with a really, like all these points on them. But none of them are bearing grapes in the forest. Because they're not getting enough light, right? So learning how to nurture ourselves with enough light, whatever it is we need, whatever environment, inner environment, outer environment, so that we can bear fruit. Like the muscadine vines that are growing out in the opening where my camper is. They're ready. So, my question when we tune into our internal heart wisdom is always, what is my heart longing for? Right? Because whether it seems mundane or silly or grandiose, that's what you need in this season as a form of nutrients. Whether, like for me at one point in time, it was get a camper, get an RV. Never RV'd a day in my life. I was like, really? Okay, this could be cool or this could be tragic. This is like the small me thinking in my head. And, spent some money. Was able to get a deal through a friend and went through the whole process. And not only did I get an RV, decided I'm going to travel from Texas all the way to New York. So here I am, right, thousands of miles away from my support system and my family, with my little used SUV I had at the time, pulling this 4,000-pound camper across the country through the Appalachian Mountains. Half afraid, half excited. And having the most amazing summer, full of challenges and victories and beautiful knowings and expansions of who my idea of myself, right? I saw in here, there's a creator, I forget her name, but she said, we're all living the life we have the courage to pursue. We're all living the life we have the courage to pursue. And that resonated so hard. We are all living the life we have the courage to pursue. Because so many of us have dreams and visions and we're waiting for it to happen sometimes. And don't get me wrong, there's seasons of waiting and stepping out. But at the end of the day, it's the life we have the courage to pursue. So I always love that quote from Maya Angelou. It says the greatest virtue is courage, because without courage you can't practice any of the others consistently. So it's the partnership of tuning into your heart wisdom, knowing for yourself, even when it doesn't make any sense to anyone else. When I told my family I was going to travel in my RV all the way up, a black man solo out in the rural areas where there can be danger, right? A lot of generational trauma. There's a lot of fear, and I had my own, but I knew I had to go. But part of my mission was to learn how to create a home within myself, no matter where I was. These were the things I was focusing on, right? And also create a space for others to see themselves outdoors. Other black people who have that same fear and trauma, right? Because at the end of the day, this is our home. This is the earth. This is our real home, right? Outdoors. Which is why we all get comfortable and we relax. It's probably one of the biggest reasons you're on this live. It's not me, it's just the view of nature, the sounds of nature, the energy of nature, right? Because it's our home. That's why it resonates. That's why you feel better. Right? Don't get me wrong. Love the house, love the AC, because it gets hot down here. But just that honoring, right? Returning to what's natural, not what's normal. What has been normalized is not resonant with who we are on a soul level, who we are on a physical level, a lot of it, with what's sold to us in the store to eat. Ideas and the way we treat our bodies or modern medicine. But returning home, right? Letting go of the hero, the ego, letting go the non-heroic journey, the oneness journey, recognizing that the essence of each one is so important. And also remembering that our little brains don't even know why we're here. If we did, we'd have one very clear picture. Instead, we have a never-ending number of religions and spirituality and ideas, and they're great and they all have a place. I'm not trying to diminish that or say that they're wrong. I'm just pointing out that we don't know it all. And many of us barely know ourselves. That's why we get triggered and blindsided and we lose ourselves in those moments. So we didn't know that that was there. We hid it away. We suppressed it. So who are we to say that the world has to be a certain way or that we have to be a certain way? I reject that notion. I pursue what's natural. It's naturally arising within you? And can you practice deep listening enough to open up to it without judgment, without fear? Or rather yet, take fear with you, but let your courage be louder. See with the new energy and motion that you set in motion with that decision. See how that impacts you. See how that opens you up to more light. It brings nourishment, right? To allow your fruit to come forth. Right, everyone's craving freedom, right? That's our heart calling us home, whatever that means for you. We see that this system doesn't make any sense. Spend 40 hours a week doing something you don't enjoy in a system that is diminishing all of our light. Right? For what? Just to survive, to go do it again next week, to be stressed out. In an environment that is not nurturing. Got a little bit of rain coming in. You're welcome. Thank you all for hanging out. But now I'm thinking of NDRE lyrics. I've been writing with her for about 9 years now. This next year it'll be 10. Should be really cool. And one of the songs is called, actually I don't know the title, but I know the lyrics. And it says, storms come to clear the air. Storms come to clear the air. Storms come to clear the air, so dance in the rain while it's here. I love that reframing, because we can so often think that everything is going wrong for us. But really, in the midst of the storm, there is a clearing, a reframing, a remembering of what's really important. And in that emotional experience, there is an alignment and an opening and a letting go of that we spent far too long expending our fear and energy on. To refocus with the nourishment of the rain as we dance and shake the energy loose and move forward with clarity, right? Clarity, clarity, clarity. That's what the storm is. It's clarity. So can we take a moment just to ground into our own inner wisdom and ask our heart, our intuition, our inner knowing, the divine, what does it want us to know about the non-heroic journey? What that might mean. Are you guys open to that? A little meditation with me. It won't be more than 10 minutes. Yeah? No? Yes. Okay. Allow your eyes to gently close. Get comfortable in your seat. And with a low belly breath in, settle into your body. And as you exhale, settle your body into your seat. Another low belly breath. And allow this breath to lengthen your spine. Envision the crown of your head being lifted by a thread of love as your tailbone is rooted by the same love. Exhaling into a posture of dignity and peace. One more low belly breath in. And breathe into your heart space. Become present to all that is alive within you. Every emotion, every feeling, every expression of your journey in this moment. Let go of the judgment. Exhale and soften. View it all as a work of art, full of texture, tone, frequency, vibration. Be with all that you are. Allow yourself to settle into the stillness and calm and knowing the same frequency of your heart's intuition. And from this space, we ask our hearts one question without trying to answer from the egoic mind, but simply holding space for the heart's inner wisdom to arise. And the question is, dear heart, what do you want me to know about the non-heroic journey? Again, dear heart, what do you want me to know about the non-heroic journey? Stay connected to your breath. Breathe through any resistance. Just be. And I'll hold space here with the sounds of the guitar and the gentle rain coming in to nurture us all as we listen. Now holding the heart's reply with an open hand. If the heart's reply wasn't clear, allowing the hand to remain open, trusting that the heart will speak when it's ready. In either case, breathe and surrender fear. Surrender any limiting beliefs that may arise to the contrary of the heart's desire. Surrender any identities you have attached to that have only made you shrink and retreat. Inhale and breathe in the courage of the bird that flies through the storm and sings in the rain. Breathe in and remember who you are. A divine, unique expression of Source. Beyond words. Beyond any idea or small conception. Aspect of never-ending change and expansion that has never been seen before and will never be seen again. Breathe this in. It's a deep honoring and remembering of who you are. Notice how your energy shifts. And notice how with intention and breath you arrived here. And at any moment in time you can return here if life becomes overwhelming. Breathing in, allow pure love and kindness to arise in your heart space. Feel its frequency releasing you from all conditions, bringing a warmth and opening that flows like a river, making each moment new. Creating new possibilities, new decisions, new responses, new growth. And as love flows, it fills your cup until it overflows. And it's in this space that you effortlessly give and receive love to all beings in a generous, regenerative way, simply by being the highest expression of your soul. So rest here for the last minute of this meditation, remembering who you are, setting a conscious intention to always honor as a priority the heart's wisdom. Gently now, allowing your eyes to open, placing the palms of your hands together over heart center. the love, light, and truth within me honors the love, light, and truth within you. Namaste. How beautiful. Thank you all for joining me for this live, flowing conversation, another moment of expansion and realignment. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Be well, beautiful souls. Much love and light. Peace.